Chair recognizes that we have a quorum, and I'll call the meeting of the August 18th Airport Authority meeting to order. The first order of business, approval of the minutes of the July 21st meeting. Does anybody make a recommendation to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes have passed. Chip's, I thought Chip was going to be here, but he's not. But right now, we could skip over. Well, here he is. What timing? We will give Chip a second, and he is on stage.
You're up.
Chip, we've just called the meeting to order, and we're about to talk about operations at the airport.
Okay. All the runway lights are working. I flew the other day and a couple of them worked. Kyle got them fixed. And NOTAMs are the same ones. The only thing that we have that's still kind of outstanding is the one about the windsock.
Yep.
It is on order and it should be here tomorrow.
That's really good news. That's good.
So, and then the runway strength testing is going to be next week.
Yeah. We're not sure what night, but I'll get a clarification from Hank about what night, but we'll have to do a notum on that. I'm going to try to go out there and watch. That ought to be pretty interesting to watch them do the non-destructive testing. I may go out for a night and watch them do that.
How long do they say?
I think it's 2 nights. I don't know, 2 nights from like 8 o'clock to 6 in the morning or whatever.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I
Okay?
wondered if we could, I'll talk with Hank whether we could displace the end, they're doing it just on the ends.
Yeah.
About, just closing a portion of the runway, but then it falls on the lighting and marking. So
If you'll handle that, that'd be
I'll
great.
handle that with Hank.
And coordinate with Nick.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Amy, you want to talk about the review of the financial projections for the hangars?
Okay, so in your packet, let's see, after the website memo, we have this page about the proposal for the east side hangars. So the first page takes the assumptions that we have, that we got from Hank about a lot of these assumptions came from the application to the state for some state money. So given our goal is to work towards becoming self-sustaining, we're looking for additional sources of revenue. We've confirmed the demand for additional box or T hangars at the airport. And I think as of a couple weeks, we had 22 paid deposits. So the construction cost, we think this is probably conservative, it's 1.3 million. The non-reimbursable portion that we would not be able to get reimbursed from the FAA. The reimbursable portion, we are looking at financing with the annual entitlement grants. So that's not part of this financial projection. And we are looking at, we're assuming we're going to qualify for $250,000 from the state, that we could qualify for an interest rate, super low interest rate between 2.5 and 3. The market rate for the hangars we're looking at in this projection is $425 a month. We'll need to get an official quote on the insurance, and all that leads to the next page, which is kind of putting it all together to see what the break-even analysis would be. So given all those assumptions, we would break even at 74% occupancy. And that's with a 3% interest rate over 20 years. So we have a model that's available online that we can play around with to, look at different rents, different interest rates, different costs, and see what that does to that number. So at 100%, we would have a revenue of $26,000 or net income of $26,000 a year, and the risk is $75,000 a year, $76,000.
Did you get a figure for the Gulf Shores and Foley rents?
I did not.
I know them. You talk about what they rent for?
Yeah.
Foley, on their new hangars they just built, the last ones are $300 a month. And the ones at Fairhope, actually, the ones at Fairhope, this said 300, the lot by top south, the two south rows go for $320 a month. And Gulf Shores, I think they run $350. They built some bigger T hangars, which would actually be nicer than these, that they rent for $600 a month. But they're fully insulated, they have a drain on the floor, they're on electricity, and they would be nicer than these. And when they built them, they rented them out the first week, and they've been full ever since.
Do we have electric doors?
That's what we're looking at, yeah.
Right.
The ones you're talking about, Gulf Shores, they just went $700.
Okay.
They were
Oh, wow.
$600.
Wow.
And then the cabin class size one that are 45-foot doors are $425 now. They went up.
So same price for about
Is
the
it-
same size.
Yep.
425 would be about comparable to what we're, okay. Do they have electric doors?
Those are sliding doors,
Okay.
rolling doors.
So, to refresh everybody, we voted to move forward to do this. And I guess the next step is to look at financing options and really to kind of narrow these numbers down or make these fine tune the construction numbers.
I've gotten 2 prices. I'm waiting on a third
Okay.
that I thought I would have today. He told me today I'd have it by Thursday, so I'll have all 3 then. And then I'll just send them to Josh and let Josh send them out.
Do you think we can do it cheaper? What's your thoughts on whether we can do it cheaper than $1.3 million? That's Hank's number.
Well, but we're talking about $1.9 million when we put
Yeah. But,
all of it in there. And yeah, we can do it cheaper than that.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Amy. Amy, this estimates are based on how many T hangars?
20.
20?
Mhm.
Each one holds 2 planes?
One.
Oh, we're not going to, okay. And we have a demand of, we have 22 people that paid deposits.
I'll update that. It's 24 now.
And we've got a waiting list of 50 or so, don't we?
44 to be exact, yeah.
Okay.
But the math still works because
Oh, yeah.
you're basing the income on 20 as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay.
Did you factor interest in there, Amy, for that $600,000 that we're going to have to dwindle down over 4 years?
No.
So you're talking about we'd have to hold that $600,000 and get our entitlement money every,
We got to pay interest on 600, then 450,
450, yeah,
and
exactly.
300.
yeah.
Yeah, with the phasing of that, I just didn't try to mix it in. It would have to come out of our regular operating.
This is the high side of the cost. This should work.
Yeah. Any other discussion? I guess the two things. One, we'll move forward with the construction cost, and we'll maybe start looking at financing options. And hopefully we'll sit down with maybe some city council, see if they're interested, what their level of interest is, and go from there.
Well, like I said, I think that, I believe that I would speak for the city council in that, if we could, assist by helping you get a lower rate, we would do so. As far as, putting money towards this, I'm thinking not.
No.
But I don't think you need it.
No,
I
we
don't
don't.
think we
Yeah,
need it. I
just
don't
just
think
the
we need it.
interest rate really is what we're looking for the support.
Okay? So there's not a proposal out there, but I think we all on the same page of what the next step is. Is that right?
Should we not be able to put together a plan, maybe even by the next meeting, to get this rolling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to work with you too, Amy.
We ought to
Okay.
have full construction estimates, and then we're going to sit down with Hank and discuss what's better to go with him fully doing it or him not fully doing it, because that gets into what's reimbursable and what's not. Be sure we cover the ground there, and then we'll know what we're going to spend.
Yeah, great points.
Yeah, and we would, maybe in early September, we could get together, maybe we could have lunches with a couple of council members together and kind of talk, show them this, and, you know, move it forward that way, in an informal setting, okay?
Yeah, we could, well, we could bring it to a work session.
That would be
Even
fine,
be
too.
better, and then we can talk to all of them at one time.
Okay,
Okay.
that would be the best of all worlds.
Joe, question for Jack. Does it need to be approved by the city council?
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
they've never approved any of the other hangar projects that we've
Yeah, but we've
undertaken.
never really asked for their
To borrow
guarantee
money.
either.
Well, yeah, that would have to be, a guarantee would have to be
Yeah,
approved by,
right.
yeah, that would be, yes.
Okay.
Don, what were the updated numbers on the list and the deposits?
Will just asked me the updated numbers. I have 44 names on the waiting list, and I have 24 $1,200 deposits in hand.
And 22 of those have been deposited.
Correct.
Yeah, so you got two that haven't been deposited.
Right.
And that $1,200 was basically 3 months of rent at $400. I mean, that's how we came up with the $1,200. So that's-
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay. Okay. All right, the next item of business is appointment of a committee to nominate the officer slate for 2020, 2021. Do I have anybody wants to volunteer to be part of that committee? I see some familiar faces.
I nominate Vince Booth,
I think Vince Booth would be a
Chair of
great
the Nominations Committee. Nominate Vince Booth, the Chair of the Nominations Committee. Do I have a second?
Vince, you want to pick two people you want to work with? Two cronies.
Actually, Chip and Will and I have done that the last couple of years.
I was hoping that would be
That
that.
suits everybody.
Okay. All right, so we will.
Thanks, Jack.
I'll put that in the form of a motion,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. I make the motion that we elect Vince, Chip, and Will as the nominating committee.
And y'all will report back in the committee in September. Okay. All right.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, we do need to vote on
In a
that.
second.
We need a second for that.
I'll
Amy
second, yeah.
Amy seconds it. All those in favor of the nominating committee of Vince, Chip, and Will to appoint the officer slate for 2020, 2025, one signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
That was close because we had four people that weren't nominated. That was probably going to pass by a narrow margin.
If you blink, you'll become. All right, the attorney's report. Josh, you've got some good news for us, don't you?
I hope so. Yeah, we've got a lease ready to go for P10. Joe and I met with Zach McNeil and Mr. Warhurst about a week and a half ago, just to go over the lease, but there were no changes to it. And do we have the signed plat for P10 in
We do have
hand?
a signed plat.
So
Yeah.
we've got the lease description, and it's ready to go.
And I texted him before the meeting. He's out of town, but he said he was willing, he will move forward and get that lease signed and pay us our $10,000, the lease holding and the $3,000. So that's a big win.
Yeah, so that is good news, and that one's ready to go. The negotiations on P11 with Diamond Air LLC, that lease is, I think, just about ready to go. The attorney that I've been working with for Diamond Air requested one change that is not in the existing lease, and that was in an email that I circulated to the board, I think, last week about a right of first refusal to rent the building and land back from the airport authority at the expiration of the lease term. I didn't have a problem with it from a legal standpoint. I think, as the board knows, we've got to be careful about the exclusive rights prohibition for the FAA grant assurances, but this is not that. We're not extending the ground lease. We would be leasing the building back to
At a fair market value.
the tenant at a fair market value, or after some sort of bidding process, and I want the board's input on that, to generate the highest and best rental value. A couple of comments that I got from different board members based on my draft. Number one, I didn't have a time limit on the right of first refusal. I think there should be some kind of a time limit by which the tenant should exercise the right of first refusal. And there was also a question about what if the tenant wanted to purchase the building from the airport authority. On that subject, I tend to think that a sale may actually grant exclusive rights to a tenant. And so I would caution the board about that, but I do think some time limit needs to be put in place by which the tenant would exercise the right of first refusal, or else it would then be available to the public at large, so to speak, to rent the building and land from the airport authority. So welcome any comments about that, either the right of first refusal, the time limit, or anything related to that provision. But when I leave here tonight, I'd like to have some guidance so that I can insert that language into the lease, revise it as necessary, and send it to Diamond Air, because I believe they're ready to execute the lease and
But you
keep going with
circulated to the
construction.
board the revised lease, didn't you?
I circulated my proposed language. It was nothing more than that. Their lawyer asked for a right of first refusal. I generated some language based on different documents that I've used in the past for rights of first refusal, and that's what I circulated to the board. And so I wanted to get input regarding any other matters that may need to be discussed in relation to that. But aside from that, right of first refusal and that language, I think the lease is ready to go, and that Diamond Air is probably ready to execute the lease and to start some construction.
It's been a while since I read it. Well, didn't the right of refusal say that they would match the highest price we were offered?
The way that I've drafted it is that it would be advertised, or bids, rent prices would be solicited from the public at large, but that the existing tenant would have the right to match the highest and best price received. So we would try to generate the highest price. It's just that the existing tenant would have the right to match that price as part of the existing lease, whatever it is 40 years from now.
And Josh, what if they had no other additional bids, then what would you lease it at? Zero then?
Yeah, highest and best price was zero, so that, yeah. No, I don't have any language in there to that effect, so we may need to come up with some
I think it may say
kind
match the price of the highest bid or fair market value as determined by,
Competing airports.
something's got to be, you know, as
Why
determined
would
by
we not
something.
put a minimum dollar in that advertisement that bids start here? And that's what the airport authority would accept. And then everyone knows where they're starting, and we don't wind up with a low ball bid.
Yeah, certainly, it's still going to be a function of the board at that point in time to determine the fair rental value. If a bid comes in that exceeds that, well, that becomes the new fair market value, so to speak. I mean, that's the highest and best offer. But, yeah, I mean, at that point in time, 40 years from now, the board's going to have to look at the market values of whatever the going rate is for similarly situated hangars in the area and make a determination about what the rent's going to be, bearing in mind that the existing tenant, whomever that would be at that time, would have the option to either match that price or whatever the highest and best price is that's received.
Well, Josh, would 30 days be appropriate for the right of first refusal?
I think that depends on how long you want to give the future airport authority time to solicit bids.
Okay.
So, you know, if we think that 30 days is enough, then that could be the language, or you could say something along the lines of the authority will have 30 days to solicit bids, and then operator will have 7 days to decide whether or not to accept.
Fine.
You know, I mean, because once they have a number, I don't think it becomes very difficult to decide whether or not they want to match it or not.
Yeah.
I did some digging. My lease and everyone else's at Jack Edwards has this clause in it.
Okay.
And it's been established pretty well at Jack Edwards for quite a while. And it does say in that one, after the bid period, or it doesn't say bid period, but after the price is determined, the current tenant would have 30 days to agree to take that. But it doesn't say that it's going to have a minimum starting number based on the airport authority's direction at that time or any of that language.
And that gets back to, maybe that's not giving preferential treatment to anybody.
No, it's not, because again, it's available to everybody, but again, the tenant has the right of first refusal. So again, from a money standpoint, I think the authority is still achieving the highest and best price. We're just giving somebody the option to match that highest and best price.
Do I have a motion that we amend the lease for that, with that language?
I so moved. Yeah.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of amending Diamond Air's lease to include the language that gives them the right of first refusal with a time frame signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank y'all.
I'll send out a final version to the board,
Okay.
just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, but I'll make that change and then circulate it. But with that motion made and accepted, I think we're going to have a lease with Diamond Air very soon.
And we'll, Johnny Lee's here, we'll let him speak at the end of the meeting, so when we move, after we move through, okay? And the other business.
Yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen in 40 years from now. Josh should be the only one here.
Maybe he'll be here.
But it'd be
Maybe
real
he'll be
easy, you know, get an appraisal, and that becomes your base number.
Yeah, that's
And decide whether it's gonna be a 30-year, 35, 40-year lease, whatever it's gonna be, and then that becomes your starting point.
If they reach out to me in 40 years, I'm going to say I don't remember.
What's in the minutes?
You can look it up.
Okay, Continental Aerospace Technologies Report. Hank, you want to come, Nick, you want to come up? I guess y'all's travel ban has been,
Lifted,
okay,
thank
good.
goodness. You see, everything's going good at the airport. I sent you the weekly.
You send me the quarterly, and I'll include the quarterly, I'll include that report quarterly.
Okay, and just let everybody know, it's pretty well leveled off. We're at a kind of a plateau, 100 takeoff and landings a week that's recorded on FlightAware, et cetera, with the new tool. There's more than that with the touch and goes and all, and some, like my airplane, doesn't show up on there. But we've pretty well plateaued out on that and fuel sales, so there's a steady curve, you know, just a steady line right now.
We've been following fuel cells, Amy and I have, in the budget. One of the reasons, I'm interpreting here, one of the reasons the fuel cells are down, as far as from the airport authority, is because of our two private hangars, fuel cells have been down. Continental's fuel cells are actually steady as they go, aren't they?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the two private, Mid-Bay Air and Cedar Creek are down because.
Yeah, they've not flown a whole lot.
They haven't flown a lot. Yeah. One of them didn't have a plane for 3 months.
Correct, correct. And as far as the disposal of the abandoned aircraft, it's still there. I'll work with the gentleman before the next meeting and get it. He was finishing up the one hangar there by the state trooper hangar for Mr. Allen, and he said he'll get it gone as soon as that's done. That's now done, so I'll push him to get that gone.
Okay.
And then discussion on the fob and card access, we've talked about that several times. Whatever we need to do to help you with that, let me know.
Well, that's a capital item in the budget, so if when we get tonight, approve the budget, that'll be something we'll start working with in September. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Okay, and on the NOTAM, I've already worked with Vadim on the wording for that, just, the week before we'll get it written to give plenty of notice, and.
And part of the budget process, if there are any capital items, you know, we've replaced a lot of windows and things like that. If you think of things that need to be included, just in you're out there all the time, if we can include them in the budget, we can budget for them and get them done before they break. We can actually do it preventatively. We've got preventive money.
Yeah,
and
but if
actually
if we want to
Okay,
put line items in for specific
will do.
things. that'd be good.
I'll kind of get a list together for you.
Well, I
We
mean,
can
we
work
don't have to,
something
doesn't need to be a long list, it just.
together. I'll keep it as thin as
Sure,
that.
sure list.
But no problem, and I appreciate you getting our roof fixed last month and all that, so all's good.
All right.
Nick, real quick, go ahead, Chip.
No, go ahead.
Me, I guess it's my, that the fuel tank, which is out, it has a certain definitive lifespan.
Yes, sir.
We've been talking about it just privately and casually. If you can help determine what that lifespan is, just think about safety.
Yes, sir.
I did a study 2 years ago and dated it, you relined it at that point in time. And so that would be a good topic for kind of a discussion as what the expected life of the fuel facility is.
Okay. Oh, and we are getting a new 5,000-gallon fuel truck
Yeah.
in the coming week or 2 weeks, so, for the
So you
city.
have 3 or you're just having,
Just two.
okay, you
Get
just
it-
replace
yeah.
the one you have?
Just to help service the customer.
How many hospitality cars do y'all have now?
3.
3?
I noticed in front of one of the T hangars, someone's got a pretty good sized boat trailer.
That was moved.
Okay.
It's been
I mean,
moved.
you
Yes,
know,
sir,
if
took
someone's
care
in
of
the bind, they need something short term, I mean, you know, it's one of our customers.
It was one of our
Okay.
customers. I just had him
So I want
move.
to make sure it wasn't a permanent addition.
No, it's not. He was doing something and he moved it
That's
off to
fine.
the,
Yeah.
Oh, one thing, Nick, the foliage we talked about on the fence.
it's cleaned up.
Oh, very good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? All right, Hank's not here with us. I did not, I mean, I guess the application was submitted for the $250,000. We'll probably know 1st of September. The way it was explained to me was AlDOT would make all their recommendations, but when the money they have left over, they'll make these kind of grants, if you will. So we'll know by probably the middle of September where we get this $250,000. Okay? So that's the time frame we need to know whether we're going to give it back or not. I mean, whether we're going to need it. Okay? All right, number 10 is approval of amendment to the Fairhope Hangar Partners to lease leasehold by $9,760, which is for $214 a year. This is to produce an aviation easement that was recommended by Hank. To have a motion that we amend the lease.
Yes, I'll make that a motion. We amend the lease to accommodate the additional footage.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
And all those in favor of amending the lease, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we discussed the $53,000 last week. Josh was going to research it, and I think he sent an email out, but I'd like for him to catch us up on his legal opinion.
The legal opinion,
About the $53,000 we discussed, since, you know, we decided to move our efforts to the east side versus the southwest side.
mhm.
And it was indicated that they were going to go over there, and so at the last meeting, we discussed the $53,000 for utilities.
Right, and the question of whether that had to be expended by the authority. I sent an email to the board to that effect, as far as the appropriation of those funds. And the question being whether the authority would still, or was required to expend those funds, which I believe was voted on in the May meeting. And it was a twofold, I looked at it from two perspectives. Number one, did that amend the lease agreement with Fairhope Hangar Partners? And my opinion was that it did not serve as an amendment to the lease agreement because it was an appropriation made by the authority at the request of Fairhope Hangar Partners, but there was no additional consideration that flowed to the Fairhope Airport Authority as a result of that appropriation. And then as I guess a subpart of that, could that appropriation be rescinded at the board's discretion? And in looking at that, I simply turned to Robert's Rules of Order to determine whether or not that could be done. I believe it, and I should say that Robert's Rules of Order governs the rules of procedure for the Fairhope Airport Authority under its bylaws. So that's what we turn to. And if there is notice given of a particular request to rescind a prior action, then the board can consider that by majority vote. If there is not notice given, then the action may still be rescinded, but it has to be by a 2/3 vote of the board. So those were the questions I looked at. That was the nature of my email to the board, which I don't remember the exact date, but I think it was about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Mr. Chairman, can I get clarification?
Yes, sir.
On that last motion, did you say $214
Yes.
per year?
Per year, yes, sir. It's not much, I mean, at 22 cents a square foot, it's only 9,000 square feet.
I got 2 cents a square foot when I did that.
Well, maybe the math's wrong, Jack. Let me check it real quick.
Well, we might want to revise that motion.
All right, so.
I'm getting,
Okay, you're right, you're right. It's $2,134 a year addition. My bad. Good catch.
Yeah.
My bad.
glad I have my calculator out.
I'm embarrassed the Mississippi State guy found it and I didn't.
I'm glad I've looked at it for
You just took too many shots to the head.
All right, so let's back up. Can we revise our motion to lease, the motion is to provide, lease 9,760 additional feet. The number, that actually is $2,143 a year, additional lease. And the existing lease, I think, is $4,600, so it'll be about $6,600 total, all in, so. I'd like, can I have a motion and a second to revise the,
Well, let's just, I'll make a motion that we revise the agreement, the vote from a moment ago to reflect that the increased footage will still be applied to the 22 cents a foot.
yes, okay. All right. Now let's go back to the discussion we're having about the $53,000. Anybody have any comments on that?
Well, we need a second on that motion.
All right.
Second.
I seconded.
Okay. All those in favor of the revised motions, by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the original motion's been voted on and approved, okay? So now let's go back to the discussion on the $53,000 for utilities. You have any comments? Anybody have any comments?
I do. This has been a moving target since the beginning. It was presented to us originally at no cost to the authority, a no-cost development at the airport to the authority. Then apparently the partners underestimated the cost and came to the authority for a handout on constructing the infrastructure needed. I was against that at the time. I'm more against it now than I was then. The rationale for passing it and offering that assistance was that the airport authority was considering building hangars of their own on the southwest portion of the airport, and we would benefit from the infrastructure that was put in there. So that was the rationale, I believe. But then the authority decided, and I thought it was the right decision, to build the hangars on the east side for several reasons, one of which was to jumpstart the development on the east side. And I think we have seen that we're doing that. So with that decision, I think the airport authority is in possession of an email from the partners saying they were moving their project to the east side. Now, apparently, they've gone back to the southwest side. The airport authority has no immediate benefit from that development at this point. So the rationale for the $53,000 handout has vanished. So I would be against that. I don't think that's a proper use of public money.
Am I correct? And I'm pretty sure that we couldn't get any federal funding for the infrastructure for the southwest side.
We could probably get some reimbursement for future taxi lanes, but not for the utilities themselves. And that's what we're providing. We're providing forced fire main, and we're providing electricity to that side. Amy, how about the budget? Could we afford to do it if we had to?
I mean, we can get into it when we talk about the budget, but yeah, I mean, we're showing a net income, a negative net income with that included for next year, so. But we have some carryover from this year, so.
Which Amy's talking about, we budgeted $60,000 for general maintenance this year, and we're gonna come in around 29,000. Things haven't broken as much. So we'll have, 20,000 or so that we'll carry forward to next year as far as general maintenance.
Yeah.
But we never know. I mean, something could break tonight, or we could have a,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and we approved that without prioritizing anything else that we may want or need to do for next year, so.
Vince?
I'll make a couple comments on what Will said. I agree with just about all of it. There is one immediate benefit to us of them going there. They'll be leasing land. But the turning point for me was when they sent the email, and y'all have to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there's 6 of the 24 deposits we have on our east side, and their email said that we would be Plan A, and them going back to the southwest side would be Plan B if we didn't develop hangars. And so at that point, I took it as we don't need that $53,000 there because they're coming over with us. So we shouldn't spend that money now. And then if they've changed and decided to go back, more power to them, but that should not obligate us to go back after we committed to build 2 10-unit T hangars on our side, on the east side.
Don?
Well, that's not the way I see it in terms of, I see two mutually exclusive projects. The southwest corner, what I'll call where the Hanson Group is going to do their hangars, and then, of course, our east side, two mutually exclusive projects. I see the Hanson Group as Fairhope Hangar Partners, to be exact, doing us a favor as an authority in commercializing and monetizing a portion of the airport assets, land, that we'd never thought about. Yes, I understand that there's been a confusion. The Fairhope Hangar Partners have gotten into a situation that was far more extensive than they thought. They had to beat back several attempts at larger detention ponds. They had to beat back sprinkler systems. They had to beat back FAA mandated design access road. I think they've done a real good job in doing what they had to do. It's a lot more expensive than they thought they would do. And as Jack said some months ago, development's expensive. I understand that. I'm not comfortable, to wrap this conversation up for myself, I'm not comfortable with putting a $53,000 offer on the table to assist in developing our airport and then taking it off the table. That's just my opinion.
Jack?
I don't disagree with that last comment. That's what concerns me. It also concerns me from a legal standpoint, if we could even do that. So let me ask you this. Out of the deposits we received for the east side hangars, how many of those now include the Fairhope Hangar Partners?
The six, the original.
6, so we still have 18 deposits in hand if you took those 6 out?
That's correct.
Is it your understanding those 6 would go back to the southwest, or do you know, or would Fairhope Hangar Partners continue to pursue that development without those 6?
Well, the Fairhope Hangar Partners are actually here tonight. Would you want to invite them to
Yeah,
comment?
so what I'm saying is, I don't know why, it may be that we could just, like you're alluding to, is do both.
And do both, yes. I like the idea of doing both. It monetizes, well, of course, we're finally getting off our rear ends and commercializing our side, the east side, and now we've got a corner of the airport that we've never thought about, that either other people could build hangars, just as they're doing, or we could add hangars down there if we ever so chose. Anyway, I think it's a win-win.
Let me put some numbers. Let me offer up some numbers. By definition, if we built the number of hangars that we have deposits for, and so we essentially say in the first year, and we need to talk about what the length of those contracts would be, we would be at 100% occupancy, right?
Well, like you said a moment ago, we're too shy, but we'll fill that in no time.
74% to break even, I'm calculating a profit of about $31,824. So we can make up some of that investment pretty soon on that southwest side if we had to put 50-something grand in it.
Yes, and the other thing, Amy, to you, does it have to be expended from cash? Could we roll it into our east side loan?
Well, we could always borrow it, but I mean, if we've got the cash, we ought to pay
What
for it.
about the $69,000?
Well, that's right. I mean, we got $69,000 from the CARES Act that we could,
Yeah.
that's sitting in the money market.
Haven't we already passed a resolution to use that money? Or that, we didn't pass a resolution for that, I'm
We
sorry.
decided to wait until we got the money.
We left it open.
We have the money.
Obviously, we don't have it yet.
Well, if the partners are going on with the southwest development and we still have a demand for 24 hangars on the east side, I don't know. And I'm a conservative, but to me, it doesn't seem like a good problem to have.
There's a lot of, this is a small airplane airport. This is not a Destin, Lakefront, New Orleans, Gulf Shores even. And there's a lot of people that want to take their airplanes out of the weather and put them in a home and in a hangar. I really think we're not going to have any trouble. I think within a year, building another 20 would be very doable.
Well, I believe that I'm uncomfortable withdrawing our original commitment. And I do believe if someone came to us and said that they wanted to spend $800,000 to build hangars on anywhere in the airport, we would make sure they had utilities, there that's to support that development. So I'm still supportive of the project. It is what it is though. So whatever. I'm not sure what the next step is, Josh. Do we vote or do we?
There wouldn't be a vote unless there was a motion and a second, so
Okay.
that's up to the board.
The vote would be to rescind the 53,000.
Do we have a motion to rescind the money? That's.
I think you had two options on voting. One was notice and the other one was what?
That's right. Under the procedural rules, and to my knowledge, and it's not in the agenda, so I would say that notice was not provided. And for that reason, my opinion would be that it takes at least 2/3 of the board to rescind an action that was previously approved by the board.
But if notice was given, it was
Just
the
be up
majority.
front, yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Why don't we give notice and table it until next month?
I would oppose that because the Fairhope Airport partners are pretty close to striking ground.
So you make a motion. Do we have a second to that motion?
I didn't make a motion, but I will, that we put it on the agenda with formal notice for next meeting.
We need a second.
Second.
Okay. So this is a simple up or down vote. Is that right, Josh?
That's correct. This is, as I understand the motion, is to put an item on the agenda.
Yes.
Is that, Will, did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
And vote on it next month.
All those in favor of putting on the motion, putting this item on the agenda for next month, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Nay. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put the item of the rescission of the $53,000 utility money on the agenda for next month to vote yes or no. Is that right? I mean, that's what we're looking at.
Mr. Chairman, can you give me a quick refresher? So is the $53,000 the only money we're investing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what is the total ground lease? What is the total that we would receive in the ground lease?
I think the
It's
ground
gonna be
lease
like
is
5,000 something a year now.
$5,000 plus the $2,000 would be
7,000 plus
Yeah,
a year.
The $53,000 is $35,000 for fire protection, basically a 6-inch line to serve the hangars, and $15,000 for Riviera Utilities to provide electrical service.
So 8 years to break even on a piece of property that we were never going to use.
Never done anything with. And there could be other opportunities to build other things once that's opened. Somebody else could build other things.
But we're going to ultimately run into the complaint that we've got too many T hangars on the east side and not enough private hangars. So if we leave ourselves room on that southwest, we might be doing ourselves a favor there.
Yeah, I mean, the original plan was the corporate hangars on the east side are financially more attractive. Well, probably not. I mean, not if we get the T hangar rates of what we want to. It's a good problem to have. So anyway, we'll knock it around again next month. We'll put it on the agenda, and we'll put it to bed one way or the other. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Surely.
Assuming this vote goes either way next month, I don't care which way you want to assume, what do we do with the 6 deposits that we have? If they're going to build a hangar down there, and they were the first 6, and we allowed them to be the first 6 folks on our list because they committed to come to us, what are we going to do with their deposits? Are they gonna lease 6 from us and build 6?
I don't know the answer to that. Don, do you?
Well, the way I've been explaining that is that until we start construction, the deposits are completely refundable. So the answer is refundable.
Okay. The other,
What is their intent? They sent us an email, and I still don't know what their intent is.
Well, why don't we invite them? They're in the
why don't we
room right
ask
here.
about the general manager of their LLC to speak? Don, why don't you come?
I mean, it's a fairness issue for 6 other people that might not get a hangar.
Yeah,
For someone just to come
I
rent it for a
understand.
short period of time and move.
The other thing is if we do rescind it, we'll have to give them the $10,000 that they back and the $3,000 deposit. So I mean, we'll do that. Don, please.
Thanks for listening to us. And to address your question of the cost, on our lease hold, there is no additional cost at all. What came up was someone asked somebody downtown, do you need a fire hydrant? And somebody said, yeah, but no study was made to find out if you really need one or not. The other was electrical. Those are infrastructure items that are normally what everybody else here gets for their lease money. We would not if you take this away. And so I would encourage you to leave this money there because it's for infrastructure items. And think about it. Who would own this stuff if we put it in? Who's the owner? Well, you want it to be you, not somebody else.
30 years from now.
So there's and just realize that everybody else gets the airport infrastructure, which is power and, fire hydrant, stuff like that. We're putting in a lot of other stuff that is normally infrastructure, and we've gone with those costs, and we'll go with the 9,000 square feet of paving that really isn't going to be used by us, but we'll put it in, and we've done that. We're ready to go, and we have a contractor ready. We've been trying to get out to the field for weeks, and I would encourage the airport, someone, to call up or write Eric Cortinas and say, please, they're okay. We like the airport's happy with their plans. All of our plans have been submitted timely and in great detail to everybody. They've never been changed. And so we're ready to go. And go
So
on.
I want to put my little 2 cents worth in. Chip, I think you said it correctly when you called this stuff infrastructure. That's what it is. It's just infrastructure. And as he said, I think that's appropriate that people have that. There are other people who are interested in this, and they're watching to see how we're treated by the board, because there will be more development down there. And to your, we've been trying. Don has been emailing everybody, CCing everybody and all this stuff. But I'm sorry you got the impression that Plan A meant we were definitely going with you, and Plan B we weren't. I've always told anyone who asked me it's the timing issue. If we could get a hangar built before the airport authority could, well, that's the way we do it. We both have airplanes that we want in a hangar. That's all I want, is just a hangar. And we're trying to get there the fastest way possible. And as you know, as Don just said, Lagarde said that it's taken a while to get the board convinced to take care of us little people who need hangars for our little airplanes. But I never meant to give the impression that A is definite and B was definite not. And the other thing is, before all these monies came in, Don Lagarde said at the meeting last time I came here 2 months ago, he didn't know how many deposits he was going to get, but he said it's important they would let the state know that there's a demand so that you can get some state funds. So I felt like we're putting our money to the airport authority to help you get the numbers up so that you
Right.
can get that Alabama money. I don't remember ever saying that when I give you this $1,200, I'm definitely going to lease from you rather than build. I never, ever said that. I just want to hang it from my airplane.
Yeah, we wanted to support the airport. We like what you're doing, the more little planes around, the better you'll be. And we did this for 2 reasons. Support the airport was the first reason. And we were, I think, some of the first people, Don, that sent money to you.
Yes.
The minute we heard about it, everybody sent their money in. And that encouraged another 10 or 15 or 20 people to put their money up. And they did. And so here we are. And so the other thing is, I think it'd be good for the airport to build those hangars, and I wish you would. And But this 53,000, think about for a moment, and Josh, you might look into this. If we have to put it in, we probably will. Who's gonna own it? Who's the owner? And so, we may come say, we want our lease extended all the way out to Bishop Road somewhere like that. And so what we'll end up doing is selling people the access to a fire hydrant, something like that. So it's a problem. I've been,
So there's a chance, I mean, if we didn't give you the 53,000, what are your thoughts about going forward?
well, number one, I'll find an engineer to make an analysis. Do we really need a fire hydrant?
Yeah, well-
Because we designed our hangars very carefully
Yeah, you
to
have
be
fire-
individual fire areas in accordance with code. And that's something you guys should do too, because if you don't, you'll be in big trouble
On these sides.
with expense. And so the chances are 1 in a million and something that you might have a small fire in one of these fire areas, and there's 6 of them. The fire department can put it out, and we can put it out ourselves. We don't need a fire hydrant, I don't think. We'll have to find that out. So the other part was the electrical service run in. And I specified 200 amperes at 220 volt single phase. And the reason I did that is because there's another guy talking to us big time about putting hangars like ours right to the south of where ours are going to be. And our facility will use less than 100 amps, and he'll use about 100 amps. So that is set up right there. And as far as the benefit to the airport, the infrastructure expense provided by hangar people, builders, doesn't flow to the airport because the airport's supposed to put that in anyhow. And so I would encourage you to let the 53,000 go through. Don't give us any money. We don't want that. It just, I think, Don, don't you have a bid from a guy that can do a fire hydrant like that?
It was 40-something thousand, if I recall, from a fella here in town. Yes, I mean, I do have a bid, but he might even do it better than that.
Okay, well, that would be airport infrastructure that would benefit everybody that sets foot down at the south end. And I think there's more coming, because people like it down there. I don't know why, I do, but, so that's why we, kind of open that place up, and we'll continue to do so. So, can we get a commitment that somebody will call up or write Eric and say, we're okay? Because Eric has a problem, or a misconception that we're not constructing things in accordance with drawings. That's inaccurate.
Yeah, what Hank brought up last time at the end of the meeting was not factual. He said that we were going to build the hangars according to plans. We are. I think he's just a little upset that we don't have to put in sprinklers, we didn't need such a big detention pond, those kind of things.
Right.
And we're just, as you know, when you start spending money, if you don't spend your money, you don't really care that much. And I think you've seen in some other things that, Hank, if he's spending someone else's money, he'll be happy to spend it. And so we're just trying to save a few coins.
Right.
Anyway.
So we're ready to go, and if you want to see some construction go on, make a call, get Eric going. Let's get her done.
Yeah, we're following the plans as stated.
Yeah. And we put this extra paving in.
Yeah, we'll do it.
And we'll put it all in there. Like I say, we're not going to use it that way.
All the FAA paving,
It's not FAA paving.
whatever, I mean, yeah.
The FAA has nothing to do with it. That was another misconception, misstatement. It's all that. I have letters that I sent out and sent copies to many of you from the FAA, so stating exactly that. It's just, you don't have to paint lines on it, have to do anything with it. It's just pave it.
All right,
So,
that's our point.
thank you very much,
Thank you.
all of you, for listening to all that stuff.
Let me ask you a question if I could.
Yeah, sure.
What was your objection that drove you from the east side back to the southwest side?
It was just what Bill said. It was, we can be done by early January.
There's also the problem of fill. The land is very, very low. Where the initial T-hangers were set, the land is very, very low. It's below the grade of the ground, so we would have had to put in how many thousand cubic
Oh,
feet
it's
of?
$60,000 to $70,000 worth of dirt that has to sit there and consolidate for a while, and you have to test it and all this stuff before you can start doing anything. And so that's one of the reasons we wanted to go go up out south, because that wasn't there.
Don, you and I think maybe Joe walked that area, and it's physically below the level of the road.
The taxi.
So it's going to make
By
building.
about 5 or 6 feet.
The originally platted T hangars on the east side were in a very unfavorable geographic location.
So that's why we picked out the other one.
And so
It's worked out
someone, I don't
fine.
know who it was, found that on the original AIP, there were some hangars plotted on the southwest side. They're already there. They've been there for years. It's just, they were forgotten. And so that's why we moved to the southwest side.
So y'all's intent would be, y'all go ahead with this, y'all would relinquish the 6 deposits from the east side.
Well, I told Don Lagarde that I would not let him down, that I'll lease that place and build down there. I won't do it. And I maybe spoke for the rest of the guys.
He's speaking for himself on that one. I don't know if all the members know
Yeah,
that.
just as a fairness issue for other people that want a hangar.
Yeah.
If y'all are going ahead, then I
Yeah.
think that would
Well,
be.
sure, someone could have it all like that.
Because your
Sure.
timeframe's
Yeah.
probably about the same timeframe we're looking at, so.
I think we'll.
Oh, I think we'll be ahead of you.
Yeah.
As you get into this, you'll find out many, many, many obstacles will be put in your way to have to jump over. And we've gotten over all of them so far, and they've been quite something.
But it's just like I was telling Vince, so we're just trying to get hangars as soon as possible.
I understand. No one likes your plane sitting outside.
And I can tell you, Bay Minette's charging $300 for their hangars. Okay.
And they've got them on lease too, don't they have all 20? How many do they have leased?
I think they have one left.
And they're not box hangers, and they're standard
T
T hangers.
hangers. yeah.
Actually, they don't even have insulated ceilings, which ours do. They're about the same as ours, but they
That's correct.
have no insulation.
That's correct.
Thank
For
you.
the record, I will say, I appreciate what y'all doing, I understand what you're saying, and 100%. That infrastructure is in place on the east side, and it's been there. You could have built there a year ago, you could have your plane sitting in there today for less money than you're gonna spend on the west side. And that infrastructure is all there. Utilities, water, fire hydrants, everything's been there for over a year. So the only reason I say that, it's kind of like we're denying infrastructure when we spent $12.5 million getting infrastructure in that you could have already built on for less than you're going to spend.
As I said, we don't have to put in the $60,000 worth of dirt to start the building, so that saved us there. And also, by having this expansion on the southwest side, this will also help the airport authority expand that area, because there are other people who are interested in building down there.
Don't disagree with that at all.
Okay?
Thanks much, everyone.
Thank y'all. Thank
Okay.
y'all. Will, do you want to talk about the upgrades to the authority's website? I think there's a couple of emails in there about that.
Yeah, you've got a couple of pages from Ms. Isbell, our website builder, in the package you got. She has been paid $925 up front, and in my ignorance, I thought that would be the total cost of rebuilding the website. But apparently it's not, and she now is detailing in this the extra costs of $645 total for the 2 items on the second page in the handout. I talked to Ben Montgomery, who knows a lot more about websites and building them and all of that than I do, and he says that's reasonable. So I don't like spending money on a surprise thing, but I think we ought to do this. I have asked Ms. Isbell if she envisioned any additional cost in building out the website in total, and she said no, that this would be it. So I would make a motion that we spend an additional $645 for the 2 items that she details here, and be done with it. By the way, we're going to need your input as we get into this rebuilding. We are also looking at changing the logo of the airport. This logo we've got screams corporate jets. And that's an important aspect of the airport. We have a lot of those coming in. But it's exclusive of those of us who fly bug smashers. And I think we need a logo that is more inclusive of all general aviation at the airport. So I'll be sending out maybe some drafts of a new logo to you, and we'll be requesting your input on that. So I've made the motion for the extra $6.
So the motion is for additional $625.
45.
$645?
45.
$645 to finish the upgrade of the website.
It'll be a brand new website.
I second.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of the additional $645, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Will, do you find her, she's easy to work with, she just underestimated, do you feel comfortable this will get done?
Yeah, I think so, and Ben Montgomery.
Okay, okay.
So, yeah, I think so. She's young and eager and full of energy.
Sounds like a great problem to have. All right,
May I say something?
Sure.
Will, you do realize this logo is our new logo. This logo came about just 4 or 5 years ago, and there was a whole committee that looked into that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And we put it out we had like 400 submissions and down selected, and yeah, that was, not even saying you're wrong, but this wasn't sketched 20 years ago. This logo is very new.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it highlighted the idea that, we're the, profitability-wise, 80% of our fuel sales come from corporate jets.
Yeah.
And that was the idea, that was the part of the business we wanted to grow, so.
But, what, 90% of the aircraft based on the
Are
field
based
are
on,
not jets.
okay.
Maybe we could add a little puddle jumper to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I see a picture of Will's airplane in the logo.
Do you like the big fish eating the little fish?
All right, Amy, do you want to
Okay,
talk about the budget and the financials?
yeah.
and all
Let's,
those
yeah,
good
let's
things?
quickly flip to the last page and knock out the July numbers. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time here. So we're now, these are the numbers through July, so it includes projections then for August and September in the end-of-year projected column. So as Joe alluded to earlier, the fuel sales is projected to be 20% less than what we had budgeted. So that is quite a bit less. And we can see the year-over-year comparison when we talk about next year's budget for that. Everything else is coming in pretty good, and we had already reduced the outlook for the ground leases, so.
But we could catch up, if we get 2 ground leases next week, we would catch up we would. get
We
potentially
would.
$25,000
We
more ground
would.
leases. That would be good, maybe.
I will hold my breath. We'll add it in, but, yeah. So, and then under miscellaneous income, that CARES money did come in, so we have the 69,000 was added in there from July. So now, instead of a shortfall on revenue, we have quite a big overage. On the expense side, no surprises there. Almost everything is coming in under plan. Or under, yeah.
We must be really good at this budget stuff.
It all works out. It all works out.
We're really good.
And then we're just watching that bank account balance for the red one for the operating account, because we do have that big $200,000 principal payment to make by the end of the month. So we'll just sneak in with that. So, any questions on July? Okay, so then if you flip back 3 pages, we can go through so this is the draft budget that we will I'm taking input on, and then we will have a revised version to vote on for approval next month. So now's the time for any input. I'm holding the fuel sales steady since we don't know when it might come back up, and just wait and see what happens. Showing the City of Fairhope appropriation at the same level. with a potential reduction once we start getting new rents coming in. Okay, so for the east side hangars, I didn't add anything in for the hangar rent. I'm going to assume it's going to break even for next year with the cost and instead of trying to time it and say exactly how much we'll get, I just left it out and we'll assume the revenue and the expense will break even. Yep.
I don't see anything in there for board members' salaries.
Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, and we've got the ground leases, all of the two new ground leases we're talking about, do have them factored in for next year. So if we sign them in this fiscal year, we'll have more money carrying over, and then we'll have another year's rent next year. Okay, so that's the view on revenue. Any questions? Expenses. There is not a big change. We had our legal services were higher in this year because of the IRS audit, so we're not expecting to have to do that again. The airport maintenance is detailed, so there's quite a bit more, and that's where the $53,000 for the infrastructure is right now. So this is where, we want to put line items for everything specific that we know about, and then we'll hold some more for just general preventative and corrective maintenance as things come up during the year. So we're showing the electric gate, the west side infrastructure, the light replacement, that just seems to be about how much we spend on light bulbs and light things. The preventative maintenance covers the generator maintenance, and then corrective is just fixing. So if there's anything else that needs to be done, it would be, just let me know and I'll add it in here.
And as we open up the east side, the ground maintenance will probably go up some, but we've got a 4% increase in ground maintenance.
Yeah.
We don't cut that as often as we cut the existing airport, but we'll have to do more. And we need to spray Roundup on those fences more often. I mean, it's just, when the east side truly opens up, it'll be probably another $3,000 or $4,000 in maintenance over there.
Okay.
Ground maintenance.
Okay. And the more we build, the less to mow, though.
Yeah, that's right. Build and not mow.
Okay. And I do show an increase on electricity for some of the new construction. Okay, then for the bond interest, I am showing, so we're still aiming at refinancing the big $7 million bond when our prepayment penalty goes away in the first quarter. So I'm assuming that we'll reduce the interest starting in April. But that, for this year, we'll have the bond council expense to rewrite the bond, so.
Well, we can't find some more traditional financing and avoid that 44,000 estimate for the bond council.
Jack, y'all got an RFP out. I'm going to follow whatever y'all do. Y'all are going to.
I mean, maybe we can help. I mean,
I agree. I think 44,000 is a lot, and I guess y'all sent out an RFP last week to refinance your utility debt. So whatever y'all do, that would be the kind of be leading the way.
I'm not even aware of that.
Yeah, I think you did. I think I saw it. So anyway, that's, we can follow what they're doing. That would be savings for everybody, significant savings.
Actually, I take that back. I did know Kim's putting that out. I don't know that we were looking at bonds, though.
No, or just,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not enamored. I mean, we can do anything.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so then if you flip the page, then this puts it together to show the net income. So I went ahead and just showed all the bank account balances that are carrying forward so we can see what, what our reserves are. The operating account should be back up to 100,000 after we pay the principal and we transfer over the CARES money. We have 2 years of prepaid ground lease for the west side hangars that are held with the deposits right now. We'll bring that in, and just the income really from September. So we should start out with 100,000 in there. So all in all, we would have a net loss of the revenues and expenses for the fiscal year of about 20,000. But we do have the starting balance to cover it.
Questions? It's very easy to follow.
Well done.
Thank you.
So, Vince, anything? So next month, we'll finalize the budget, and we'll tweak it a little bit. And we'll see
Yeah.
what we need to do. If you have any capital things that we need to do as far as, we can put that in the budget too. That's a good way to capture things. Okay?
When you did your budget calculations on the east side hangars, you didn't use that $102,000 that we have in there for a fuel terminal. You left that in that account, right?
Yeah.
And the CARES Act money, you didn't use any of that?
Right, so, and I guess that's the last item on the agenda. That right now is just, I didn't use any new money. There's just the 250,000 from the
So we could
state. So we
potentially
could
use
use that. And
250, 69, and 100 to supplement the east side hangars if
$420,000.
Yeah. But you can borrow money probably at 2% too. I mean, that's
Yeah, but how
maybe-
much are we making on
we're not gonna make 2%.
that? Right. Just a thought.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's a
it's-
third of that refundable money we're talking about we would not borrow.
Yeah. The refundable, you're talking about the,
Reimbursement.
that would be good,
Yeah.
good idea, yeah.
Because
And
if,
then we got $600,000 coming on top of it. We're at $1 million over a 4-year period.
That's a great, that money would, personally, I don't like working without a net. That extra money is always giving me, if we had something truly
But we
right,
can always go borrow against what we built.
we could build.
If
But
we
I
need-
always
if
like
we
having
need
that extra
net.
cushion.
It's not good to run at zero.
No, I
reserves.
agree.
but if we use those annual entitlement grants to pay for the construction loan, then does that mean we don't get the match for other projects?
I wish
for 4
Hank was
years?
here. The way I understand that is entitlement money we would get anyway. Our next big project is however this runway thing comes out, getting the runway upgrade from, basically from a 60,000 rated 60,000 pound runway to a 98,000 pound runway. That's a big number. And so that would be, and we would probably have to get in line, but we would at some point in time get that money, that discretionary money, and we would have to match that.
Yeah, because at one time we talked about not saving those annual
Yeah.
entitlements so that we have the matching
Yeah,
for
5%
something big, yeah.
There's where we need our.
That's where we need 150,000.
We'd have to just factor that in for that year at that time.
Yeah, the $11 million in projects we've done have eaten into our reserves. I mean, that's $560,000 of stuff. So,
They were saving 30,000 this year, but we didn't have to match it.
okay. Any other business? Johnny, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Johnny Lee, Director of Operations for Diamond Air LLC, and we are really happy and excited to be here with you guys. Thank you for getting the motions passed to help us out, and we're moving forward rapidly now. We expect to be breaking ground very soon. We're already working with the FAA. Just a few things that we want to make sure that we're all clear on, which I think we are in the lease. We are intending on starting out in a Part 91 operation, but we are rapidly advancing toward a 135 charter operation with the FAA now. That'll be a 9 aircraft or less operation. Future plans do entail maintenance, a 145 operation, and we have great hopes. Everyone I've talked to has been extremely excited about the plans that you guys have done. I want to applaud y'all for moving this airport forward the way you have. Is getting a lot of notice in the country. Of course, South Alabama is one of the fastest growing areas around, and there's a lot of focus here, and a lot of people have been waiting for this to happen. There are several corporations that I've been speaking with that are really looking at basing here in Fairhope. So I think what you're doing moving forward with your hangar projects and helping us corporate guys get a foothold here and move forward, I think is going to do great things for Fairhope and actually enhance our visions of becoming the destination that we all are seeking out for. In fact, we've talked to a couple of folks who represent FBOs all over the country who are really rapidly growing. One of them is Sheltair, and another one I spoke with yesterday was Millionaire. And those two FBOs are very interested in coming in and talking to y'all about possibly seeing how they might be able to benefit from being in the area. And I see great growth for this airport, and I wanted to tell you thank you for helping us to be a part of it, and we really look forward to working with you guys in the future. Do y'all have any questions for us or anything that I might can answer?
Welcome from, 135, Part 135, Part 145. You're really talking air taxi, correct?
That's correct.
Why don't you elaborate real quick on that, because I'm not sure everybody understands that.
Okay. On a 135 operation, that would be unscheduled, like a charter aircraft operation. Primarily, we would operate out of here, but essentially what you usually end up doing is bringing people to the area or going to other places and getting them where they need to go. East Coast is very popular, going from New York, say, to South Florida, and then over in this direction. With the growth in 30A down in the Destin area, there's a lot of interest in this area, especially now that the regional and the domestic airline travel has become, with the COVID-19 issues, it's not really the preferred way to travel. And so we've seen in corporate aviation and in the air taxi side of the house, it is exploding. More people feel safer on a private jet. There's more service extended to them, and they can get into the destinations that they may or may not have been able to get into with a air carrier service, or it may have taken much, much longer to do. So we are excited about that. We also are, the 145 side of the house is kind of it started out to be self-generated. We actually were looking forward to just doing more maintenance on our aircraft. Before we've had this, we're utilizing Textron and Stevens Aviation, but we usually have to either have their maintenance personnel come to us, or we have to take the aircraft to them, which it's a little more strenuous to get things done, and you're not there to oversight a lot of the things as maybe you'd like to be. With this coming in, we've got a lot of interest that has just generated, now that our plans are starting to become more realistic. We're seeing a lot of people going, well, hey, how about, is there a way we can be part of this? So we're offering out in the future, and we're looking into, on this 145 side of the house, a way to maintain not only our aircraft but other folks as well. And we're talking to some of some of the best technicians in the country right now who are very interested in coming here. And I think that is also going to help generate growth for Fairhope's airport. And it's dream big is what we're doing. And I think it's gonna really turn out well for everybody involved. And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited to be part of it. And I appreciate you guys having me. It's a real pleasure to get up and to meet all of you and see you. Anything else? Anybody got any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have any other business for the airport authority tonight? Don? Please come up.
Well, with what Diamond's had to say, I would say move the small airplanes to the south side. Looks like get them out of the way. Something I had to remember about your question and yours too about how we got to the south end. We tried real hard to get over there on the east side, but we were told, you may remember this, I said, trying to get somebody to put their finger on a map of the airport, we could build something. Because it was impossible for us to put our, at the time, 4 box hangars on the east side. Remember Hank saying it would take a year for the FAA to approve this and all that
Part of the
stuff?
plan.
Right, so I put my finger on the south side, what's over there? And remember Hank pulled out that old drawing from like 10 or 15 years ago and said, well, you could build there because look at this. It was already in a plan of some sort from the years past. So that's how we got to the south side, but,
Southwest side.
or southwest side, yes. So anyway, I'd move all the small planes over here back to us.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to, Don, do you have anything?
No, motion adjourned, please.
Do you have a second? Chip?
I second.
All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. All right, ayes have it, the meeting is adjourned. Thank y'all. Jack, thank you.